What's up, healers? Welcome back to another episode with Just Heal with Dr. J. Listen, I'm excited to bring another conversation to you guys that's going to provoke thought. And as you guys know, I love to expand the mind of those that are listening from our healing community, but also to give you an opportunity to really develop some insight wherever you are in your life. And I'm excited today that I get to talk to a great brother, a great friend of mine, 2-year NBA champion from the Los Angeles Lakers, my favorite team, LA, the Lake Show. And he was also the teammate to one of my favorite players, Kobe Bryant. And so I want to welcome to the healing community my good brother and friend, Josh Powell. What's up, good brother?
Man, what's happening?
Well, no, long time no see,
Long
man.
time no see.
I saw
We
you
talk
last-
all the time.
I saw you last year.
Last year, close to around this.
Yeah, close around this time, man. Yeah, so close. So, man, welcome to the healing community, brother. This podcast, as you know, is a sentiment of my work, and it is a sentiment of just my life journey.
Right.
And I love having these conversations. I practiced for a number of years, but I think right now it's very timely to bring some healing conversation that is going to really challenge people to think and to bring some insight and some enlightenment, man. So I just want to start off this segment, man, with just actually asking you, not how you're doing, but how you feeling,
It's a great question. But before we get started, man, I got to give you your flowers.
man.
I got to make sure I do that first and
Okay,
foremost, man, because I love you, brother. I'm proud of you, man. You're doing amazing work. You're really helping a lot of people, man, and you're doing it in such a big way, man. And I just pray God continue to bless you, brother. So
Man, thank you, brother.
that is something that I don't want to wait to do. A lot of times they say, we got to wait till something tragic happens, whatever, but I'm going to make sure you get them now. And
Yeah.
continue to do that because I tell you that all the time. But
Yeah, man. I appreciate you.
to answer your question, man, I look fine, but I'm numb. I'm tired, brother. Been dealing with, some things, but I'm on the up, and I'm positive, and I keep it moving. But I think that because so many things continue to keep happening, and I don't get a chance to really address it, that is putting me in a space of just not feeling because I'm on to the next thing because the next thing is already happening. You know what I mean? So that's a true transparent answer
Yeah,
to your question.
man. As you were talking, man, I appreciate your transparency, brother, because I think transparency allows us to not just see people, but see into people
Right.
and see through them. And I don't think we do enough of that because oftentimes when we look at people, someone will look at you and look at your physique. You're a 2-time NBA champion. You're 6'9". I mean, you had a great, NBA career. And individuals and people on the outside will look at you and says, well, what could be wrong with him?
Right.
But when you said, as soon as I get the opportunity to deal with one thing, here comes another.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about that, how has it impacted you, man, emotionally?
Emotionally, I feel that it takes its toll. But I also feel that us as men, it's like that's kind of what comes with the car. It's just what's in the instruction manual, you already get it, and on one end you feel like that's something that you shouldn't necessarily have to concern yourself with. But on the other hand, when you're talking about being the best version of yourself, you understand that it's detrimental. Like you have to acknowledge, you have to deal with the things that are bothering you or that you're struggling with.
Yeah.
So that's the part that is the continuous journey,
Yeah.
especially when we talk about healing.
Because what I want men to take away from this episode in particular is that if you don't take control, you're going to lose control.
It's a fact.
And most of us as men often feel like we don't have time
That's
or there's not enough time.
mhm.
And I feel that time is something that has to be budgeted and budgeted in a way the same as we budget our money,
Mhm.
but budget in a way that how do I create pockets? And I may not be able to sit there for an hour or two because you got a family responsibility, but how can I create a moment
Mhm.
where I can just check in with myself?
Yep.
And I would love for us as men to really do more of that because if you don't check in, you're going to check out.
Yep.
And checking out, and I'm just going to be transparent, it's easy.
Yeah.
In fact, I felt at times with my story and with my journey that
Mhm.
checking out was probably the best thing to do at that time
Yeah.
that I was thinking. And as I'm reflecting back on my two suicide attempts at this, and particularly for the second one, I felt, man, I can't take any more.
Yeah.
How do we get men to even feel that they have permission to check out? And I'm not talking about checking out physically or causing harm. That was my thought or my experience at that time,
Yeah.
12 years ago. But where you are now, how do we get men to even say, man, how can you take a break? How can you pause? You can't walk away from the family. You can't, take days off as being a father and a husband. But what does that look like?
That's a great question, and as I'm continuing to process that, one thing came to mind. Like I know you talked about like checking out or hitting that pause button, and it's like for me, um, I I I'm very capable of acknowledging and understanding like where I'm at. I think that there's guilt sometimes because I feel like I don't have enough time in order to process or to try. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's more of
Yeah.
my bigger struggle.
Yeah.
But I do acknowledge, like I definitely like, and I said this, 2 days ago, and I was just like, telling my wife, I'm like, I'm tired. I feel that I'm not in a great mental space, but I'm still showing up at a 200%. So maybe for you, I look normal, everything seems normal, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
So I will let her know, but then it's like I feel some type of way sometimes when I'm not able to really grasp or really feel like I have that moment to deal with something. But I definitely make sure I do. I've promised myself one time a day to do something for me.
I love that.
I've promised myself that. And I feel like other brothers should make that promise to themselves too, because it is important sometimes to acknowledge how you feel. Sometimes it might shed weight,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You might be able to do something where you can kind of get some of that off of you. And then in other times, which is also important too, it's allowing the people that love you to know how to deal with you or what's going on with you during that time, because you can't do it by yourself.
No, we can't.
And I don't advise anybody, because to your point, that's why so many men are having the struggles that they're having, because we're internalizing and we're not allowing people to see us for who we are.
Yeah. Because when I don't allow you to see who I am, I
Mhm.
rob you of who I really am.
Mhm.
And who I really am is a person who is still yet learning, a person who is still yet unpacking.
Mhm.
Because I think as you enter this journey of healing, it's not linear.
Yeah.
And I often have to tell people, you don't go to therapy. I would have people come into therapy and they says, well, doc, I only got a couple of months, man. I need to get this fixed. And I said,
Mhm.
this may take 6 months. Some things may take 9 months, but you have to be willing to commit to the process.
Absolutely.
And that process doesn't have a time limit on it. And I think, and I love what you said about making sure you do one thing for yourself
Mhm.
every day. And
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be grand. It can just be something as simple as like, man, maybe I just need to go take a walk. No kids, no wife, no phone. Maybe I just need to say, for some brothers play video game, some brothers want to read books, watch a favorite show. I adopted that same thing because this would happen to me last year. I was on tour with my tour, Jesse Bro, 3 years, 36 cities. At this time, we were at 33 cities.
Mhm.
And I had just spoken at Bishop Jake's men's conference.
Mhm.
And on stage, I open up about something in my childhood, um, about how do you address the anger that you're holding.
Mhm.
And anytime that you're speaking, and particularly for men, Black men, and specifically, being specific, you have to allow them to see the wound in
Yes.
order for them to see themselves.
Yes.
And so on stage, I open up this wound and I said, you have got to identify where the anger came from.
Mhm.
So I said, here's what happened to me in therapy. She said, why are you angry? Where's that anger coming from? What is it attached to?
Good.
And I just blurted out and I said, because he left my mom and he married another woman who had 3 kids, and he became this dad to them that I wanted.
Mhm.
And I said that on stage, and that thing shattered me after I got off stage. Now I had to open this up
Mhm.
in order to free these other people, because when you are healing people, you got to show the wounds.
You got to. You definitely got to do that.
You have to show the wounds.
Yeah.
Now, here is the caveat to that. Showing the wound also exposes other wounds that you didn't know that weren't closed.
Mhm.
So in that moment, the little boy became upset all over again,
Mhm.
drove me into a deep depression,
Lord.
drove me into, and again, I'm being transparent, drove me back into suicidal ideation. And nobody knows this. This is first time this year. I checked myself into an institution in San Diego last October and November because I felt like I didn't have time to even process that, because guess what? We had another city.
Yeah.
I had to go to talk and help heal other men. So when you talk about not having time and not having space, and so fast forward to December,
Mhm.
my body shut completely down.
Yeah.
I was sick for an entire month, developed vertigo,
Wow.
double ear infection. Literally felt like it was just like, I literally felt like death.
Wow.
And I remember I have a Black doctor, Dr. Jill, and I want to say thank you to Dr. Jill for looking me in my eyes and said, you have got to make some changes. And I didn't realize that I needed to stop pouring into others and start pouring into me. And I want people to catch this. Sometimes you have to turn that pour inward.
Yeah, absolutely.
What has it been for you to turn that pour inward?
I'm smiling, but it's not funny, but I resonate with what you said so much because the when people talk about the journey of growth being like lonely and all of those things, man, like people will turn their back on you when you're trying to become your best self.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you're making efforts to grow and they would prefer to see you as your old self or maybe old habits. Because some people aren't bad people, they just got old habits.
Right.
And I remember when, you know, a small thing like when I had just got baptized 3 years ago and making my commitment to the Creator. And for example, I go to church on the Sabbath, Saturday. So I'm missing games, I'm missing cheer, I'm missing all kind of moments with family, my kids, whatever. And I felt that for a minute. But I'm also understanding that this is something that's important to me. And I had to put myself first and not feel ashamed, guilty, or anything else because of that. And if I don't do that, then I end up being that person who I'm gonna run out and I'm gonna be on E, and then that's gonna cause me to do something else.
Go.
And I've always made sure, again, going back to what I told you earlier, like I promise I got to do that one thing.
Yeah.
I journal now. I've created some new habits, so I journal.
Man, love it.
I try to at least read a chapter a day, whether it's the Bible, whether it's somebody's book, no matter what it is, I try to get a chapter a day. I make sure the first thing that I do in the morning is I watch a sermon or two. Like I make sure I take that time for me.
Intentionality, man.
Working out, stretching, I don't care what it is. Like I have to do that. And that is what has helped me, even though I feel the way that I feel, as I told you, I feel that numbness, but it's not numb to the point where I'm ready to act in a way that could be detrimental.
Right.
It's more so just numbing and just tired
Yeah.
because I'm like, man, can I just get a day where I'm not having to address a text message or deal with something like Friday, for example, was supposed to, pick up my daughter. And I was blocked from getting my daughter. You know what I'm saying? And I had to process that before I left to go then show up for my family, my kids, and do all of that. And it's frustrating when you're just trying to be a father. You're just doing your part to be in your child's life. And then you got to go through all of these loops and everything else in order to be that. So these are just those examples of me talking about how everything's just piling up because Thursday it was something else. You know what I mean? And it's just
Right.
always this thing. But in that moment, that's how I felt like I knew I was growing a little bit more because I actually thank God. And I was just like, whatever I was supposed to get out of that, I'm hoping that I was able to do that.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't like upset or the reaction that I might have had a year or two ago.
Yeah.
It was like I had a quick moment and then it was over with. And I was just like, we'll deal with it when we get there.
Yeah. What what does it mean though to you? Because to be a present father,
Yeah.
and I know you personally, and to know the work that you put into growing, evolving as a man, as a father, uh, as a husband, when you have that experience where you're blocked from seeing your child,
Yeah.
you process that, but then what is that life on the other side of processing it?
It can be painful. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I think that because I've been going through this since my first divorce and kind of experienced it prior to the divorce, um, it's helped me to have more wisdom
Yeah.
in those moments.
Yeah.
And like I told you before, and I think a lot of fathers feel that, man, it's that guilt, that pressure of you feel like you've let somebody down or that you're not doing enough and all of that. And we all can grow. I could do more. I could be better in areas. I'm never gonna say that I've arrived ever. But when you understand what's in your control, what's not, and then you really use those moments to be at peace with yourself because that's a part of your power too. So the other thing that I'm doing as well is I'm taking my power back by not allowing myself to be that way towards anybody. And another thing that I've done is, and I'm saying this to you, like in this space, like I still love them. I have to. That was my choice.
Mm.
So I own that. So I can't be mad because I got to deal with something. I just have to move differently
Yeah.
as I'm continuing to figure it out and what that looks like. And that's where forgiveness and grace come in because as I'm on my spiritual walk, I'm just hoping that all the work that I'm putting in, I'll be able to get that as I'm trying to make my way into heaven. So that is like always a thought for me. I
Right.
can't be I can't be mad and overly whatever in that situation when I'm growing, I'm doing the things that I'm doing, and I'm not perfect. So I'm sure there are things that I do to let the creator down every day.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that the grace that the Creator gives me, I have to give that same grace to my children. I have to give that same grace to their mothers. You know?
Listen, when I tell you, I know what you just shared is going to help some brothers out there because I think oftentimes what happens is brothers become demented. And
Mhm.
when you become demented and you lose control emotionally, you lose sight of the objective and you lose sight of what the overarching thing should be.
Absolutely.
And that is to always be the best father that you can be. You know what I mean? Whether you have a clear pathway
Mhm.
or you have this disconnect with the ex or with the partner or whomever that you're just trying to navigate through, it can be very challenging.
Right.
But what I'm hearing from you is that you found a way to not only just embrace what the situation is, but you've
Absolutely.
also found a way how to walk it out.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of men don't know how to do that because they, because you can get over the emotion about that thing and just feel like, man, I need to see my kids and I want to see my kids and you can't do this, you can't do that. And all of that is true and it's very valid. However, what I want brothers to understand is what you just heard Josh share is you have got to use wisdom because the journey is not over. And if your child is under 18, there's still an opportunity
Yeah.
to even develop the relationship once the child is in a place to where she or he can make their own decisions.
Yeah. And I also think too that for us as for us as men, but even for the women, because this goes both ways. Like when you make it about the child, then your intentions are in the right place. But when you're doing things, because there are some men out there that pull some strings and do some shady stuff, like you can't say that you love your kid or that you love yourself. That's my perspective, not my opinion. I'm gonna stand on that. A lot of people talk that talk, man, but when you really love people, then you'll love freely. Love is not from a place of control.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing those things and I'm moving the way that I'm moving, I always try to make sure that I remember that. And then the thing that has helped me is, again, coming back to that point of removing the guilt. I don't feel any kind of way because I'm really trying my best to show up, not just for the kids, but even for the moms.
Right.
That's a package deal. So I try to show up the best way that I can. And sometimes for some individuals, you might have to love from afar.
Yeah.
And loving from afar might look like writing letters, sending them, text messages, or whatever you have to do, because you also got to remember how you feel as well.
Yeah.
That was the other thing that I did too, because I was dealing with so many different emotions. It was causing me to drown in a sense.
Yeah.
And that's what was also creating a lot of the pent up emotions. I don't want to say that those emotions were just anger or bitterness or none of that, because I don't have that on my spirit, but I felt some type of way. But trying to make sure that I didn't allow that to like overcome or override who I was, because I still got to be present for me. I still got to be present, for the missus. I still got to be present for the other children. I got to be present at work. There's all of these different things that I have to be present at. So I have to find a way in order to allow myself control over
Yeah.
me, control what I can, and just keep it moving.
Yeah. Man, this is so enriched. Such a rich conversation, and I am enriched by it. Just what you're sharing, and what I love about this, we haven't talked about basketball not one time.
That was
And what I love about this is because for the people watching, he's more than a basketball player. He's more than just a teammate of Kobe. He's more than just his two championships. This is a man who's on a journey of evolving, on a journey who is healing, who's yet navigating, in his own, relationships and dynamic. And so I really appreciate that you have shared that, you know what I mean, unapologetically, with me today. Uh, and I have to actually ask you this, which is a basketball, but more of a sort of in-depth conversation
Right.
with the relationship because I want to know how did you process and if you did or if it's something that you still do. How did you grieve Kobe's passing?
And I'm still processing. Um, I don't know. I'm still processing. I mean, I got him and Gigi tattooed on me. Um, yeah, I'm still processing because January 25th is my birthday. January 26th is when the incident happened. So the 48 hours of being on the high and low is serious. And one of the things, like what happened with him was devastating, but it's also was one of the reasons why I was so frustrated with my situation because you know how you hear people say, like, don't worry, you have time. They'll come around. And you're talking about somebody who was a superhero, an icon, like one of the biggest players to play the game, and his impact on the game, and his impact as a father and a family man and a businessman. He's not afforded that.
Yeah,
His wife's not afforded that. His kids aren't afforded that.
yeah,
And I'm screaming to the mountaintop for my kids, like, man, y'all wake up. Like, we gotta do this now. We gotta figure our relationship out now.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the part that's when I do have these moments and I'm, you know, flashing back and just thinking, nobody's afforded that.
it's no
And
guarantees,
and
man.
and everybody's always quick to say, and I listen, for all my folks that do say it, I know you mean well. I know you're coming from a great place of love, but we're not afforded to be like, man, I'm gonna do this tomorrow. You know, you got today.
It's-
And he won't be able to hold his grandkids, walk his oldest daughter down the aisle, whatever. And here I am, you know, I got 7 kids and um there's already, you know, turmoil in some of these relationships. And it does pain me. But because I'm doing the work, that's what helps.
yeah,
You know, I got an 18-year-old, man. I didn't go to her graduation. I didn't even know when she graduated. I didn't even know that her mother took her and they left. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's in college now, supposedly. Like, I it's been 4 years. That's me being transparent, bro. Like, ain't nothing perfect about me. I'm always trying to be my best self, man. And it's funny because you can touch all the hearts in the world, but if I could change places with that and touch my own, I would take that.
yeah,
I can go into an elementary, I can go into a middle school,
yeah,
I can go into a high school, I can talk to the athletes, I can talk to CEOs and big companies. Hell, bro, I can even go into a prison and command a room, but I can't get my daughter to call me back. I can't get I can't get my daughter to text me back. I can't get, you know, some of my kids to be appreciative of me,
yeah.
for whatever reason. And this is, I'm not playing the victim. I'm just being honest with
Right,
y'all.
no,
You know what I'm saying? Because these are my experiences.
yeah,
And I do try. Again, not perfection, but the other Pete present. I do try.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was talking to you before this started. Like, I literally fresh
yeah.
off of a 7 and some change hour ride, come straight here
And that,
to chop it up with my brother because I'm giving the effort. You feel me? But those things, it pains me from time to time. And going back to talking about, you know, everything with Bean,
yeah,
that's a reminder to everybody in this world. That man had more money, he had more access, he had all of that and gone. That still is heavy.
yeah. It's something I remember where I was. It's like one of those things where He taught my grandparents obviously helped raise me, and then I was able to be around, and you got to hear them talk about how they remember the day Dr. King passed, and they can all step back into the moment where they were, who they were with when they got the news. Um, and for most of them back then, it's like you had a few people who had TVs, and some people who heard the news through radio or just through the town. And I could step back in the moment and remember where I was at my niece's birthday party. Who is a huge Kobe fan, and it's still something that I try to process because I now have an understanding of what my grandparents felt when Dr. King passed. It's kind of the same feeling with Kobe because it was just like he was the epitome of greatness, and he was the epitome of this Superman. And, he was a black mama, and we looked at the moment that he tore his Achilles and he went to the free throw line, and he still made both of his free throws. It's like all of these iconic moments that as former athletes and you being a teammate that we can appreciate and just think about, like, man, there are no promises.
No.
There's no promises. There's no guarantees.
I do feel like he still talks to me often. And I look at when I went to the funeral, I remember one of the seats that I had was row 2, seat 8, if I'm not mistaken. And even just recently, I just did a book signing at Crypto, and they could have put me anywhere else in that arena. As soon as you walk in the Kobe Bryant entrance, my table is set up was right there.
Wow.
Like, I can't script that. There's nothing that I could there's nothing I could say about that other than that's him.
Wow.
Because we had a Lakers event.
Yeah,
There was a ton of other Lakers in the building.
Yeah, I saw that.
Right underneath the Kobe Bryant entrance, boom, our table was right there. As everybody's checking in underneath that, we are right there. So I take those moments just to tell him thank you. And I always pay homage, and to him, it was crazy because in that year, and I got to salute my other brothers too, even though they're not here, but I want to say Anthony Grundy, who was my college teammate, he got murdered by an uncle at a cookout. Shortly after, not sure if you remember or heard about Andre Emmett, got killed right in front of his. So all of this happened, and then Kobe. All of this happened within like a couple of months. Man. And I put them on the same hand as Cole, and it was just like, I don't even think, you talking about something that happened, what, 4 years ago, 4 years ago. I still haven't had the chance to truly process.
Yeah.
Because of everything else that's still going on.
Wow. So one of the questions that I asked, man, and I'm taking a breath because I'm taking in everything that you're saying. One of the questions I ask every guest, and ask it however you feel. What does healing means, Josh?
Um, Somewhere you're going, but not there yet.
Mm.
And from my lens, I personally feel that no one will ever be completely healed, but they will make huge strides at it.
Yeah.
Because there's too much that we deal with, right? When you're talking about unpacking childhood trauma, what was your relationship like with your parents? Who were the first two people that you loved, which paved the way for everything else? What tragedies have happened along the way?
Yeah.
What relationships have you gone through? Like, there's a lot there. When did you start therapy?
Yes.
Most of us, and I'm sure you know the number better than me, but I would assume that most men, especially black men, they probably don't make an attempt until 30 and older.
Yeah.
I'm probably
Yeah.
wrong. You know better than
No,
me.
that's a good.
But I don't
It's
think
a
that
good.
so then when you start at 30, you're trying to unpack
Hey,
30 years and then wherever you're going. So I just feel like it's it's on the way. You'll never get there, but you'll make a great crack at it. And I feel like that's all we can do.
yes.
And be honest with ourselves about
That's
doing it. Because that's why, and I've heard you say it, and I know we've talked about it, but it's a continuous journey.
yeah.
But unfortunately, some people feel like they've gotten to this point because you can handle an uncle better than you did before, not realizing that the cousin gonna test you.
Come on.
It's such a you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And or you might have had that one relationship where, oh, I was faithful here until you got into another situation there
Yeah.
that then you unraveled.
Yeah. Come on.
So, and that's a part of my transparency, right? Like I'm I'm a married man and I struggle with my flesh. So what we talked about earlier, I can be honest about that.
Yeah.
I'm not finna put on and act like I got it
Yeah.
all together.
Yeah.
Not know none of that. My old lady knows what time I be on. Like, but she's been there to be supportive of me continuously making these strides. And I've done so much better. So I have grown.
Man.
But that is a big struggle for me. Now, where does that stem from? We go back, childhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then when I actually started to focus in on that,
Mm.
I was 35
Wow. Yeah. And you
when I started to unpack. So
and
you know what I mean? Like that's
then
a heavy journey.
yeah, and then to unpack it, man, it's we could
To
address
unravel it
that.
there.
Yeah, man, we can address that at another episode, man. But I want to say to you, brother, from one black man to another, from my brother, is that I'm proud of you, black man.
I appreciate that.
Like I mean that, man. I'm proud of the strides that you are making, and I'm proud of the man that you are yet becoming.
But
When we talk and when we connect, it's always about life. It's not, I mean, even when you called me last year, you was like, hey, got this opportunity. And for me, it wasn't like the relationships that I have with whether somebody, a celebrity or whatever their status is, man, it's my relationships are built on how can I add value to
mhm,
you.
yeah, yeah,
And the value that you've added to me is a brother. The value that you've added to me is another opportunity to have space as former athletes to talk,
yes.
to grow, you know what I mean?
I
To
appreciate
to 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 connect,
yeah,
but then also to expand because I feel like we don't do that enough as men. Most of our conversations are here.
yeah,
And we don't have these types of conversations because these types of conversation, as wide as you expand it, it also requires depth.
yeah.
So I want to just say, man, thank you for sharing this time and sharing this space with me. And I love what you said that healing is where you're going, but not there yet. And maybe you are on your healing journey and you're trying to get there in a hurry. And if I can be honest with you, there's no, uh, you know, quick pathway to healing. It's truly a journey. And the journey is however long it takes you to get there. And as Josh said, we'll never be fully, completely healed. But as I say in closing, healing is a journey and wholeness is the destination. And until next time, to all of my healers that are part of the healing community, keep healing. And when I say keep healing, I'm talking about keep growing, keep evolving, keep unpacking. But I want to leave you with this. Keep appreciating the process that you're making because sometimes we can get on this journey and it's like we're just looking at everything that, I got to do this, I got to do that, I need to address that. But appreciate the strides that you have made. And so My brother, man, thank you. I love you, man. And I'm proud of you, brother, because again, you are helping me as much as I'm helping you. And iron sharpens iron. But remember this, it has to touch the metal. So it got to touch metal. So again, you have just watched Just Heal with Dr. J with my great brother and great friend, two-time NBA champion Josh Powell.